working now. This must be fine. So it was one or the other, but for some reason when I pressed that button, it didn't work, but now it has. So that's great news. So I'm guessing you can hear me now. So that's good news. How are you all doing this fine, windy afternoon? It's very windy here on the Costa del Sol in Spain. How are you all doing? 31 beautiful souls. Fantastic. So we are up to the sound. So I had if I can find it, I had a message coming from the girls that they sent to me with regards to a client who had a piece of, start from the beginning, I guess, instead of just saying that. So this seems to be very regular at the moment, these messages. So I thought I'd tackle it today in a seminar all about crystals and the phenomena that crystals hold within them and things that happen. So this lady says, I think it's a lady, a couple of months ago, a psychic medium told her that she had witchcraft on her. This is interesting though, because the woman further explained with regards to something about crystals, that she told her, did you check your crystals? Did any of them change? And then she never thought about it much until she went to look at one of the crystals that she bought off my website, which is a beautiful aquamarine. And she sent me a photo of the aquamarine. And okay, so can you see that? So I can't remember selling that aquamarine with that. It's actually it's not an inclusion, it's a crack from within, and it looks like a dark cloud almost. So that's interesting. So nothing ever shocks me these days, to be honest. However, it's good to talk about it, and I guess when you look at yourself as an actual physical body, not as the consciousness, but the physical body. The physical body is made up of 70% water, so we're told, and we drink it all day long, so it makes sense. So we're made up of water. In every drop of water, there's a crystal. That's been proven. So if you take a drop of water, you will find a crystal within that water. So we are actually crystal. So when you think about certain things that happen to crystals, and the same thing happens to us, we get cancer, we get dis-ease. So it would make perfect sense that if you create negative energy, then that negative energy will have a cause effect. So if you have positive energy, that itself causes great effect in a way of healing. So negative energy causes destruction. It breaks. It just messes everything up. But when you're in a positive level of energy, things start to heal and strengthen. So those things make sense. That makes sense. My issue has always been the fact that every time I came into contact with somebody who claimed that they had witchcraft, voodoo, and all of these things, they always knew about it. It wasn't like they just had a feeling and they've got voodoo, witchcraft, and I never had that in all the years that I worked. It was always when you really ask them and sit with them and spend time with them, you start to find out that they were influenced by either something that they saw on TV, something that they read about somebody else, and then they thought, oh, I wonder if I've got that. I wonder if that's me. Or, of course, the classic, somebody's going to tell you you've got it, whether it's the person who wants you to be sick and ill and wants you to have a horrible life and wants to do the most awful things to you because of jealousy, anger, and bitterness. And then there's these people who are in between, these psychics and healers, and those who tell you these things. I've often sat with psychics and healers and asked them, why is it that you bring up, curses or past life issues where they're still attached to you, and why is it that you feel the need to do it? And they get very upset and very angry, because I follow on by saying, if there is an issue, why would you need to point it out to your client? Like, I never said to any of my clients, you've got witchcraft, voodoo, you've got dark energy, you've got past life, things, that trauma that you need to fix. I never said anything. I just laid my client down, worked on them, and they'd tell me how they felt afterwards. What is it about psychics and mediums that have to tell people these things if they are, healers especially, if you're a healer, wouldn't you just want to fix it if you really are a healer? Why would you even talk about these things? For me, it just makes more sense that they're talking about them, because it's something to talk about. It makes them sound impressive. They like to think that they found the answer, but I don't see any positivity coming off that. I only see fear from the person that they've told. And what I noticed is when people said things like that, because I used to do a lot of shows and I used to listen, because they were so close to me, sometimes you'd hear people saying that you've got, a curse attached to you. And that person would get up and run out. And I'm like, you idiot. What an awful, even if there was, why would you even say that? Isn't the whole point of being a healer or a psychic? Isn't the point of trying to find resolution? Isn't the point of being an intuitive to have the answers or help them to find the answers? Why would you, need to point something out like that when all it does is bring fear to your client, or fear for the person that you're telling, whether it's a stranger or not? It's only a simple question. I used to ask that. But then, over the years, at the beginning of my work, I saw this all over, and it seemed to be a really stupid way of getting clients, because it always ended up bad for the psychic or the healer that used to say these things. It always ended up bad for them, because people used to say bad things about them then. Strange. So I'd like to start off today by my favorite story with regards to witchcraft, voodoo, and people will start to argue and start getting upset. Witchcraft is nothing like voodoo. Voodoo is nothing like spells, and all. Like, it doesn't matter. It's just a generalization of somebody sending or thinking bad thoughts about somebody else, and how that actually works, because some spells apparently are beautiful. So I'm generalizing. I'm not pointing fingers at Wiccans. I'm just talking about people who do bad things, who try to create bad things to happen to people because of their anger, jealousy, and because of what they may have done. My husband cheated on me, so I want that woman. I want the woman. I want to curse that woman. I want something bad to happen to her. It's like, yeah, you're pretty sick in your head if that's the way you are. There's something bloody wrong with you, and no wonder he's left you, kind of thing, It's like that. So women and men who do things like that, there's something wrong with them straight away. There's something very wrong with people who wish hate and bad things to others. I think that's the worst thing you can do. And it backfires because of the thoughts, and which eat away and eventually kill you, which I've seen so many times. People move into the light, begruntled, angry, wish that they had more. They felt that the life was a mess, and it just killed them. So I have a lovely, lovely friend called Carolina, and Carolina is, or still is, a very famous singer in the 70s worldwide. We became good friends after some healing sessions and some psychic work. And she asked me what I was doing this one time, and I said, "Oh, I'm off to see." Can't remember who it was now. I don't want to say who it was, but it was a shaman. One of a few that I used to go to and experience certain things. And she says, oh, I'd love to go. And I says, well, it's kind of a heavy ritual. And that ritual normally lasts through the night. And you'll take dragon herb, and you'll take stuff that, stuff that blows up your nose, where you cough and splut and sneeze, and a few other things that they do, which they call cleansing it with herbs and stuff like that. So it wasn't ayahuasca or anything like that. It's just a dragon herb is something that basically makes you vomit or feel sick through the night, depending on how bad they believe your trauma is inside. So she came to see me about 2 weeks after, and I said, how did it go? And she said, well, I'm a little bit concerned. I says, what about? And she gave me this bottle. And I'm like, what is it? She said, well, afterwards, on that cleansing ritual, the shaman pointed out to me when everybody had gone and wanted to see me personally the next day. And I'm like, wow, really? Oh, yeah, interesting. Because I see Carolina as very healthy and like really like working on herself a whole life. So yeah, she's like stronger than most. And it's like, oh, normally you would call somebody because there's something really bad. So she then went on to tell me that he wanted to do a cleansing ritual on her, which was specific to what's called inner demons. And the inner demons basically is, she obviously agreed to it. She was panicking and worried, and basically said, if you don't clear these demons, it could cause great problems in your life. So I don't know how long it lasted. I don't know what the procedure was. I didn't ask her, but she gave me this bottle and she said, would you do me the greatest of favors? Would you take care of this bottle? And I said, yeah, why? What is it? And she said, well, after the cleansing work was done, the demons, the evil, and all the bad things that was told was inside her, which related to many things than just demonic, but attachment and curses and all sorts of things are all in here. And he gave it to her and he said, so what you do with this now is you take care of it. And if it breaks, you must come back because we need to put them back in the bottle again, and don't ever open it. So I found that fascinating. And I'm like, yeah, I'll look after it. I'll leave it in my room and it'll stay safe. And it is safe till this day. I made an appointment to see a friend because she was always busy. And she was the lady who took care of the shaman, basically. So the shaman would come and she would arrange everything. So I sat with her and I said, is there anything wrong with the shaman at the moment? And she says, why do you ask? And I said, because something's very strange. And I'd like to know if there's something going on. Is there anything happening with the shaman's personal life? And she went, oof, yeah. And then she started to explain about everything in his life. And it was clear to see that he was financially in a lot of trouble. And then all the pieces fitted together. Now, was the shaman a bad shaman? No, he did some great work. I saw some beautiful work being done. But I think everybody who may be in a terrible, terrible place might look upon doing something to take advantage of somebody else and making a lot of money on them, especially when they find out that the person that is in that room and the one out of maybe 40 or 50 people in that room is very famous. And if they're very famous, then it makes sense that they're going to target them because they've got the most money. I don't know how much this bottle cost and how much the treatment was. Not really important, but there was definitely a charge for it. I don't know exactly. She never told me, but I imagine it was a lot of money. Point being, I guess, that now that we know that the shaman's going through terrible financial difficulty, that this might be a result of the fear and needing more money. Now, every time I do or did any kind of course, any kind of event where we talked about voodoo, witchcraft, and psychics and healers and shamans scaring the shit out of people, saying that they've got all these attachments and voodoo and all these bad things, and you need to do this. I need to tell you what to do. You need to have these special baths, or we need to burn you, or we need to do like whatever. I get this out, and everybody sat round, and I open it to a lot of people's dismay. And I say, here, have a smell. Go on, have a sniff. What does it smell like? Kind of smells a little bit like the Agua de Florida, but it also smells kind of fruity. It's actually lovely. And everybody sniffs and looks panicky. So I've opened this bottle hundreds of times. Till this day, my friend Carolina is happy and joyful. Life is good. I don't even think that anything has ever actually happened to her, which is bad in the time that I've known her in 20 years. Nothing. Like no accidents, nothing. She just has a beautiful life and she works on herself like we all do. Moral of the story in this case is that through my experience and seeing and hearing all these people talking about these things, I find that I'm always skeptical. Now, is there such thing as bad negative energy that can be sent to you? You could argue the point that anything that's positive, there's a negative effect, right? So you could say, well, if you're sending good energy to somebody, you can send bad energy to somebody. I accept that there's a point to be had there. I accept that. However, for me, if a crystal that I have handled in my life, and I've handled tens of thousands, if I ever felt one and thought, oh my God, that is bad energy, that's really bad. This needs cleaning. This is so bad. It feels demonic. It feels like there's so much negative energy in there. I would at the beginning have said, okay, well, maybe this has got negative energy in this crystal. Maybe whoever's holding it gave negative energy to the crystal, and like we need to clean the crystals because they hold negative energy. I've handled so many and never felt negative energy from any of the crystals. So if I'm made up of the crystal as water, it's like, well, maybe crystals are just slightly different. Maybe they're not particularly like us. They may be a living entity, which I think they are, but do they create their own negative energy? I don't think they do. Is there a possibility that they can absorb negative energy? Well, I remember putting this black crystal on somebody and I saw the energy going into the crystal. And like, that was the first time I ever saw it. And I'm looking at other crystals every day on my clients, never saw that. So there is a crystal called tektite, and that I do believe is a natural absorber of negative energy. But I've never picked a tektite up and thought, oh, this is awful. So like my assumption is, wow, this crystal absorbs negative energy and yet still stays beautiful. So again, fascinating subject. Now, let's relate back to the crystal that changed formation and color. Is it possible that a crystal does feel your energy and does cause an issue with it being on you? I think yes, because I've been around enough people as well as myself to see things happening that boggled me. And one of them is a crystal called Sleeping Beauty. It's part of the turquoise crystals, but it's the only crystal that you can dig in a certain place, which is called the Sleeping Beauty Mine, not anymore. And this particular crystal I talk about in my book, and it's happened a few occasions where that crystal has actually shattered into dust. Now, I've never seen one of these shatter, but I've seen them crack for various reasons while I'm working on certain clients to clear their energy. But one thing I've always been fascinated by is, whose energy is it really? Is it my energy? Is it the energy of somebody else? Because we can argue this all day long. Well, Mark, you can walk into a house and it's got bad energy and you can pick that up. Yeah, you can. Does that energy cause great damage to you? Well, it depends what you then do with that energy. Do you clean yourself? Are you a natural cleaner? Do you go into Mother Earth? Do you walk by the sea? Do you take natural health benefits to heal yourself? Do you have a salt bath? And does your body naturally heal itself? Well, when you walk in Mother Nature, I believe it does. It clears negative energy. So I believe we all, to one degree or another, touch upon negative energy through the day when we pass people who are having a bad day. That I believe in. I believe that there is negative energy around, and I do believe that we can clear it, and we can protect ourselves, and we can look after ourselves, and we have to be aware of negative energy. However, when it comes to this idea of somebody being powerful to be able to send across the world or across the sea, or a mile away, send energy to you to make you sick and to make everything go wrong, I have never seen that happen to somebody who's come to me and said, look, everything's going wrong. I don't know why. And I've never sat there saying, oh my God, somebody's sending you bad energy. And I've never seen that. Never saw it. What I did see is a lot of psychics and healers saying, oh, somebody's sending you bad energy. Somebody's making you feel sick. Somebody's doing this voodoo to you. Somebody's put a curse on you. So I saw that. But what I did see most of all is that as soon as those words were said, that became a voodoo spell. That became a curse. That became witchcraft. That became a spell. So I'm sat there thinking, well, that was said to the first client, and then I heard it again from another lady who was there all day, and she said it to somebody else who was actually really happy and smiling. I remember. And she said the same thing to her, and this woman just broke down. She got up and she looked like she got the world on her shoulders, and she walked out. And I thought, I can't believe how somebody could just say that to somebody else and smile about it thereafter. It's like, this is incredible. And thus I more and more over the years saw and heard this, because clients used to come to me and say, Mark, what's wrong with me? And I'm saying, well, let me just feel. So lie down. So I'd go around and they'd be crying or they'd be nervous, because I wouldn't tell them, don't speak, don't say anything. They might come in and say there's something wrong. And I'm like, shh, don't say anything. I want to find if there's something wrong. And sometimes I'd be working on them and then I'd finish and I'll like, what did you find? And I said, the only thing I feel is that up here, you're creating like this energy, and I've worked on your head. And a lot of the times you work on the head a lot of the times on people, because there's so much going on there. And the body was fine, back was fine, stomach, heart, everything's fine. But just whatever you're thinking is like, it's causing you, it's going to cause you a lot of pain. And then they'd come out and say, I went to see a psychic, I went to see a healer, and they told me I've got this on me, and I've got this, and I've got this. And I'm like, okay, can I ask you, how did you go to whoever you want? I was never I never told people not to do, like, only come to me, go wherever you want, wherever feels right. And the experience is the experience. And I'd say, how did you feel before you went? It's fine. And that was the constant. It wasn't like, oh, Mark, I went there because I started feeling all these things and I felt that there was something bad in me. Or it was always like somebody said it to me. Now, if I heard this a lot all the time, I had hundreds of clients every month. So imagine somebody comes to me and says, you know what, there's definitely something attached to me all the time, right? And it's and I feel it. And I've said, did somebody tell you that? Or no, nobody's ever told me anything. I just know something's attached to me. And when that did actually happen, which was quite rare, and I'd say, so you didn't watch TV and watch Exorcist or something like that, that triggered you to think, oh, maybe I've got it. And then you made the story up that you have got it. And then you believe your story, because that happens all the time. No, not at all, Mark. Okay. So I worked on the client, and sure enough, there was something which wasn't them, attached to them. So then I'd do a cleansing, and then I'd, oh, it's gone now. And they'd go, yeah, I feel better. Oh, thank you. And they'd go. So when I make these videos or I do seminars, it's not that I'm rejecting the fact that there is attachments, that there is demonic energy, that there is bad stuff that we can allow in our life because of fears, because of alcohol, because of drugs, because of many things. But what I am saying is that we need to look at the whole thing in a broad sense of balance and understanding that what we're talking about in this, in the sense of energy, is not about witchcraft, voodoo, and curses and spells which are sent to you in a negative way. I just see as that there is a trend in the market of healing and psychic work, and that is to scare the shit out of people, because then that person, like the government does, like the mainstream media does, like Big Pharma does, just like your doctor does, they never talk to you with love and healing. They scare the shit out of you and tell you, you better do this now or you're going to die. That's a voodoo spell. That's no different from a psychic telling you that you've got all these things attached to you. You need to come and see me all the time. So I think the one thing about mainstream medical industry is that they've got it down to a T. They've got it covered. And that's because of genius, narcissistic, psychopathic genius. So you've got cancer. Well, you need to come in now, and you need to have this now. And this is what we do. And that is the only answer. And people like that. So there's only one answer. Okay, I'm going to do it. Whereas if you go to a natural path and they say, okay, so you've got an issue with your body, there's lots of different treatments you can do. And then they get frightened. They don't know what to do, because they think what you're saying is not, they're not hearing what they want to hear, that this is the only way. And if you don't do this, you're going to die. They're saying, well, there's lots of ways. You can start by fasting. You can start by clearing meat out of your system. You stop taking sugar or stop eating fruit for a few weeks and just go on to plant-based. So humanity wants things given to them straight away. Tell me how it's, and that's how the voodoo spell of mainstream medicine have captured the audience, and the audience just fall for it and end up either having cut, laser, burn, whatever it is, and yeah, treatments that are very difficult thereafter to live a normal life. So when we talk about this phenomena of crystals and the change of color, well, you've got to also bear in mind that it might not just be one thing, it might be many things. And as a crystal is a living entity, I believe it's not dead just because it's come out of the soil. It's still a living entity in my belief. And I've seen crystals like this one, which is a Herkimer diamond, and I've seen cloud formations. I've seen different cracks inside. I've seen inclusions change. I've seen colors come to it, darker, lighter, cloud effects. And I kind of look at it like, is it working with me? Is it healing me? Is it cleansing me? Is it taking away some negative energy? I do believe some crystals do that. Now, I think it's a little bit harder for negative energy to shatter that, but I would say like maybe a bit of Samsonite, a more of a chalky crystal, which makes sense with Sleeping Beauty, because that's kind of like the same. It's kind of a chalky, easier to break crystal. So if that cracks or shatters, I can see how there's a difference, because it's more of a, a more easier mineral to break. There's so many things I can talk about right now. My head's all over the place with so many crystals, tourmaline crystals, different types of tourmaline, watermelon, and so on. I've seen little cracks appear in it when wearing it. Moldavite is a phenomenal crystal that changes formation and inside, changes over the years. And let's just talk about this as well, because there's people going to be laughing, saying, well, it's glass. If you put glass outside and it's a colored glass, it's going to lose its color in the sun. So there's going to be maybe some truth in that as well. But I do think there is a phenomena that crystals do have this energy of blasting an energy into you and helping you and heal you and cleanse you and protect you. And I think that it's a natural thing that is given off the crystal. It's a frequency and vibration. So that's when you hold a crystal, you can sometimes feel what the crystal is doing to you. But each crystal will do something different to different people because of their frequency and energy at low vibration. It will try and home in on the lowest frequency to lift that frequency up. I think crystals ultimately want to try and bring you up to the crystal frequency. That's what I think, what a crystal does. And a lot of people misinterpret crystals because they'll say, oh, I felt this from it, so it must be that. But what it might have done is just cleared a block in, say, your third eye, or it may clear one of your chakras, or it might clear a physical issue in your knee. And why did it do that? Because it wants to try and bring you up to a balanced energy. So maybe a crystal just balances you out by way of finding certain issues in your body and low vibration in your body, or blocks, whatever you want to call it, a frequency that doesn't vibrate as high as it should do. And it homes in on that by sending a frequency out into your whole body. And your body reacts to that as it's a crystal and grows. So like if somebody's happy and you're with them, you're going to feel happier. So I think all crystals are high frequency, high vibration. I just find it fascinating that some crystals crack. So I was actually here and I was doing a reading on a guy who wanted to come out to Spain to do a pure energy healing course. And as I was doing a healing session, my Moldavite, right? So it was about probably the same size as this. This is a Tektite. The Moldavite cracked, but not straight across. It cracked like down. It cracked across. And as I'm doing the healing, I could hear this crack. And I looked down, and this piece of Moldavite slid down. And like as I'm doing a healing on this person, the person that I was giving a healing session to had been through probably one of the most painful childhoods and adult things that he did that he wished he hadn't have done. So what I was picking up from him is all his suffering and pain. And the crystal cracked. Now, I know this is a fact because it's happened many times when I'm doing healing sessions, and a Moldavite can crack while you're doing a healing session on somebody. So I'm used to that. I'm used to quartzes cracking as well on clients. One of the biggest pieces that I was working on, this German guy, I used to have a lot of German clients, a lot of German men. And one guy came and it was a celestial, was it celestial quartz? I think it might have been celestial. and it was next to me, and I put my hand on it, and it was as big as that. It was as big as that. Put my hand on the crystal and hand on his head, and the crystal snapped into two and fell on one piece, fell on the floor. You can go away and sit down and you can try and think about it and try and understand these things. And I don't think it's easy to understand. I think we know nothing about crystals. We know nothing about energy. We're only just touching the surface of it. But these little things that I talk about, the main reason why I believe that your tourmaline or your whatever the crystal is, aquamarine, why it cracks is a number of factors. But when you look at the whole thing and you ask yourself, well, did I drop it? No, I didn't drop it. Did I bang it against something? No, I didn't bang it. It's just, it just happened like that. Has it been in the sun? No, it's not been in the sun. It's been there and I haven't touched it. Okay. So it was on you. You wore it for a while. You didn't look at it. And then you came back to it and looked at it again. So it could be two factors then. One, it could be just as a natural growth as the crystal matures and grows and it starts to do this. Or it could be that you may have had a bit of negative energy or a lot of negative energy inside you trapped, and that it's clearing it away. And the crystal, for some reason, has reacted in a way that either it's taken that energy and healed it, cleansed it, and cleared it, and the crystal now is showing what it's done in its way. So I don't see it as, oh my God, look at that crystal, it's full of negative energy. I don't see that. I see it as, wow, it's done its job, and it will continue doing its job, and it will carry on doing its job. If it snaps or breaks, I normally give a piece away to somebody else or put it in my oils. I've never gone, oh my God, I'm not going to put it in my oils. This has got negative energy in. Like I said, even Tektite goes straight into my oils, and it's like, I don't have this kind of fear-based belief system because, you know, I read it in a book or somebody said, don't let anybody touch your crystals. Don't do this with crystals. Be careful with that with crystals. It's like, I don't understand that mentality because I've worked with clients and like, don't touch my crystal. Why not? Why wouldn't you want to share your crystal? If you believe it's a healing crystal and it helps people, I gift crystals away because I want people to feel better. So the idea of crystals changing its structure, I believe, is not just one thing. It could be many things. So we can't just say, okay, I'm not listening to Mark anymore because he's not giving me the one answer that I want. Well, that's probably the way I am these days. I'm not just, well, the one thing I am definitely certain of is that I don't believe, and I've never seen it in my life, that somebody has, I've never even asked, never even wanted. And when somebody once said it to me, I just walked away. I got up and walked away. And she was like, she was a goth. She was wearing black. And she says, oh yeah, I can do bad things to people. I can show you. And I'm like, you're sick woman. Just go away. I'm not interested in sick people. And for me, it's like, no, I think what I do find is that when people are angry and aggressive and you're in their energetic frequency in that room, you can feel they're negative. What you do with that is up to you. You can just laugh and walk away and it won't affect you. Or you can feel it and then start to think about it. And all of a sudden, you then start to create something that really isn't your issue and wasn't really there. And, you know, to finalize on this note, psychics telling people that they've got this kind of issues, like, why would you say that? If they had an issue, why don't you fix it? Because to me, if you're saying that, it's like you can't fix it, love. You're just saying these things because you've got no power at all. And if you've got no power at all to fix them, you shouldn't be doing what you're doing. Are you here just to point out something and like, nah, I'm sorry, I don't buy into it. I laugh when I hear it. And I think you're a dangerous bugger, you are. And men are dangerous at it too when they do it. And these little voodoo spells that they do on people are just because they know that the power is within you. Of course it is. Oh, don't do that. Oh, I won't do. See, they've just got you. They've just got you by saying don't do it. And you've just said, well, I don't believe that and I'm fine. So I don't know what you're talking about. Oh, they don't like that. If you answer back saying, what a crock of crap you've just said. I've never had my life's amazing. I've never felt better in my life. No, you don't get that. Most people won't say that. They'll just believe it. Bah, bah. Like, so, at the very beginning, like when I used to sit with certain people and they used to talk, I'm like, this person's fear-based, complete fear-based. And then I'd sit with another person and they started bringing out the best in the client and started to see wonderful things like, I can see you are an artist and I can feel that you are at your happiest when you're creating a piece of artwork. And do you work with like pebbles? Oh yeah, I pick pebbles up and make artwork. I can see it. And that is such a healing thing. And do you know when you do that and you gift them away, that heals other people because of the energy that you put into it? Or let's sit with the other person. Oh yeah, there's some darkness around your head, and I can feel it. It looks like you've had this darkness for a while, and if we don't clear it, it looks like oof, it could be really bad. And I think you need to come back and see me, and I need to figure out what's going on here. And I can even feel like your third chakra and oof, your base chakra. Oh my God, that like the attachments and like wow. So I just find it fascinating. So when people used to come to me and I felt negative energy, bad stuff, I never said a word. Why do I need to say anything? Sit down, let's get it cleared. Close my eyes, start the healing work, switch the music on, cleanse the person with sage, start the healing work, follow the guidance of my hands and the feeling, go to the head, go where they're right. Now I move here. After 1 hour, they get up, they walk out, it's gone. What was it, Mark? Not just a bit of negative energy, which it is. Just negative energy. We cleared it. I don't want to go into details with like, all right, somebody might come and say there's something inside me, and I'm not myself, and there's just lie down. Let's clear it. No problem. Like, let's not make a mountain out of a molehill. These things happen. Let's just clear it. Here, close your eyes. No darkness can stay where light is given. You say your prayers, or say the words that you keep your hands there and keep that until the better, and then it's gone. You don't like, oh, I did this to you, and oh my God, I did this to you, and I worked on this, and I needed to do that. It's like, yeah, I mean, that's just absolute BS. You're just doing it for ego because you want everybody to know about how amazing you are. It's like ridiculous. Or the price goes up when you're saying it, when they're telling you all these things that they did to you to clear it away, the banking that you believe what they say, because that's another voodoo spell. Oh, you had all of these things on you, but I cleared them all away. So some people are like, oh yeah, I feel better. So that's amazing. And then you self-heal yourself because you've believed what they've said. But that's also a voodoo spell. Imagine going to somebody and them not saying anything. And then you do the job and you give them a cuddle and then they go away and they sit down and start to think about what happened in that hour and start to feel it themselves and start to, really get in touch with their body and their spirit and their consciousness. Psychics who say these bad things and mediums and tell you what, they don't want you to connect. They want you to listen to them. They want you to do what they tell you to do because they're in control of you now. So now you're their client. And now, I've got a client. I never had any clients. They were just people who came and went. I didn't have a list of how many people who came to me and said, I've got all these people. I never thought that. They're not my clients. Even Shirley on the wall, she's in Spirit World now. She'll say it, Shirley. You said it to me. They're my clients. And I said to that, this is my second teacher. They're not your clients, Shirley. They don't belong to you. They're not nobody's client. They're free spirits like you are. You choose to go wherever you want to go. And if you want to go there, you go there. If you want to go there, you go there. I don't tell people where to go and what to do. That's free will. If somebody told me what to do and where to go, I tell them where to get stuffed. I'll choose any experience I want. That's why it's like when I hear this bottle, great experience. How did you feel about it? What do you feel? I didn't tell her what she should and shouldn't do and that it was evil. I didn't say anything. And I didn't say, I didn't say anything. I just went to see the lady and said, has he got some bad issues? Is there some problems in his life? Yeah, massive problems. Okay, now it makes sense, right? Because I've never seen him do that before. Not especially on my friend who was really clean, really healthy. She used to come for a healing session every week. It was like she was really clean and healthy and like so positive in so many ways and all kind and caring. Never a fear or worry. So it's like, yeah, that doesn't make sense. So, but then I'm not trying to say that people don't have negative energy. And, I'm just saying that I would rather be a healer and keep my mouth shut and do the job and the clients tell me how they feel than me sat down with them telling them what I felt and what I did to heal them, because that's just my interpretation. So I found it easier over 20 years to keep my mouth shut. And if anybody said afterwards, what did you do? What? And I'm like, no idea. But how do you feel? I feel so much better. Isn't that important? Give us a cuddle. Well done, you. Congratulations for clearing, put it back to them to make them feel the healer. So at the end of my 20 years, I'd say, no, it was you who healed. You found your way here to have this healing session. I was just there to bring the energy in, and you healed yourself in that moment because you could have not even done anything and you could have been blocked. So I want to give it them back to say, yeah, I did this. To walk out that door to say, I did this. How many healers want you to say that you did this? You yourself did it, not me. Because most healers want everybody to know that they did it. I'm the healer. So I was disliked tremendously by the healing community because I didn't follow protocol in these set ways. And I saw all of these things which I thought were dangerous to the client. So you might argue the fact that, well, you're saying it, but you're actually saying it, Mark. If they're saying bad things, that is voodoo. Well, it only is if you say it to their face. My argument is that why would he need to say that if it's done? Like if I'm doing a healing session and I feel that there's an attachment or an entity or something, I just clear it away and it's gone. I don't need that. I don't need this. I don't need a bottle. I just need to clear it away and it's gone. It's gone. And over the years, if people came back to me and said, oh, it's back again, never happened, never happened, never happened. If you do it right, never happened. There's something magical that just happens and your client's fine. If you're always working in that field of work, and you're always doing drugs all the time, and I'm talking about when somebody comes and you clear it away. If they go back to alcohol and doing stupid things, that's a different scenario. I'm talking about people like you and me who are just working on ourselves. It's not like you're going to be attacked every day or anything like that. So it's very rare. It's very rare when these things happen. And I write about this and I've got so many stories about it. So it's not like I'm saying it doesn't exist. It's not like I'm saying it doesn't work. I think anything works if you believe it. So I don't know. I mean, bad energy is around, negative energy is around. The only thing that's important is you work on yourself. And I think healers should be more aware of what they say and be careful because they can create even more bad energy. I remember sitting with one lady and there was four of us around and she started talking to this woman opposite. I remember it to this day, and she started saying things to her that she thought was wrong with her. I'm like, wow, that's awful. That is so awful. And I said to this lady at the end, when you're telling When you told, I think she was called Jessica, when you told Jessica all of these bad things, right, in this circle, how did you feel when you were telling her? Did it make you feel happy? And she said, no, it's awful. And I said, so if it's awful to you, how do you think it must feel to her? And, you know, there's just people just, well, I need to tell the truth. I need to tell them the truth. They need to know. Yeah. It's like, you know, how would you like it if I started saying things to you about you? How would you like that? If I started saying all of the things that you said to her, how would you like it? It'd be different then, wouldn't it? It'd be different then. So, yeah, I think there's some kind of, uh, in some healers and psychic, there's some kind of like, I don't know whether it's stubbornness or whether there's a cut between their consciousness and the empathy and just their brain and their mouth just spewing out stuff that is in there because it's their issue. I see a lot of psychics and healers with big issues, and then they thrust upon their issues upon other people as a way of self-healing. I see that loads of times. I'm like, wow, you're taking it out on your client, and really, this is you. So that's another funny thing as well. When you're doing psychic readings, you're reading and you're going, shit, this message is for me. I used to say, wow, this message I think is more for me. And it's true. I think psychics and healers need more healing than anybody. So yeah. So that's it then. I just wanted to share that story and talk about some crystals. I like to bury my crystals a lot of the times. And sometimes I go back and pick them up if I can find them. Sometimes I forget where they are, especially in the mountain. So I've got like maybe 50 Moldavites buried in Mias Mountain. Where are they? I don't know. I thought I put it here and it's gone. It's not there anymore. But I did that because sometimes I think, okay, that's done its work. I want to give it some rest. I want to put it in Mother Earth. Or a lot of people used to see me going to like the sea, and I'd throw crystals into the sea. Or uh, if I'm by the rios, uh, the the rivers, I'd put them under stones under the rivers because I think they're great healing crystals for water. So that's something I did. Into Mother Earth next to a tree, I'd put some crystals in there as well, and then obviously gift crystals to people. One of the things that I really enjoyed doing is when I went on the Camino de Santiago de Compostela. I was only there like a day and a half, 2 days, something like that, and it was a challenging trip. But what I did was I bagged up in lovely little bags with a card and a crystal in it, and on the walk I just placed the little bag, silk bag with a message in and a crystal all the way on the walk. It started at like 9 o'clock, and I walked all the way on. I didn't stop till about 10:30, and I'd put about 50 of them out. And that was a lovely feeling. Thought that was really great. Like the excitement that somebody had opened it and read it. It's so lovely. That's nice. So, right then. So, any questions now, guys? I am now going to go here. Any questions after that? You know, my partner doesn't watch anything with any negative um, messages or war or hate or anything like that. So it's brilliant. Stay away from TV. So if you've got any questions, no, she doesn't, but she sleeps around them. She sleeps all over with crystals. Yeah, if you want to try and find yourself, the walk sometimes helps, not always, but sometimes. It's got to feel right. I'm sorry to hear that. Um, be your best. I'm really sorry. I struggle to understand why they do it. I really struggle to understand. You know, if you're a healer, why would you even need to just do the job? Just do the job. And people used to get angry with me because I wouldn't speak to them, which is also weird. Why didn't you tell me? What's wrong with me? Nothing. It's done. I need to know what was wrong with me. Do you feel good? Oh, I feel great. Well, why do you need to know what was wrong when it's fine? It's all done. It's cleared. What I would say is, and this was something that I found important, when I felt that somebody was abused, which is, physically abused or emotionally abused, what I'd say to my client, and I do this on the Pure Energy Healing course, is say, the way I see a healing session is like a seed that's been planted into your heart. And now you feel inner peace, and it's a lovely feeling. When you go away, if there's ever a moment in your awareness that you feel bad again, stop and ask yourself why that beautiful flame, that seed of light is now diminished. What was it that did it? What was that moment? And I found that helped a lot of clients because they'd come back or they'd say, oh, Mark, I realized what it was. It was my grandma, and I was fearing my grandma because she's getting old now. Okay, so now you know the cause of why your light's been dampened down. What are you going to do about it? I'm going to let it go, Mark. I'm going to do this. Like, brilliant. Well done. So the answers are with your client. It's not always about me having the answers. It's about you finding out the answers, because really only you know your root cause answers. You'll find it. Okay, sometimes a healer will say, I felt a little bit of pain here in my kidneys, or, oh, I felt a little bit of pain here. Oh, yeah, I've got a bit of pain in my kidneys at the moment. Maybe I should sort that out and look at how I can feel. Okay, that's it. That's different. It's not as if you're sending voodoo spells or anything, but, if you do feel something there, maybe we can try and do a detox or a cleanse. Find the answers to cleanse. If you think it's, oh, Jesus, it might be cancer, it might be something bad. You don't start telling people you think they've got cancer. I mean, what's wrong with you? You just say, well, maybe we need to start working on our, what do you eat at the moment? Are you eating a lot of sugar? Oh, yeah, tons of sugar. I'm eating cakes all the time. Well, maybe a good idea is to, just go slowly, go down on your intake of this. And maybe you should start to, give advice to helping them, but not shock them. There was one thing that I did believe was, and I did hold my hand up, and I will hold my hand up and say that there were times that people had come to me in such terrible state, and they would be off their head on cocaine. They'd be addicted to Coca-Cola. They'd be they didn't care about life. They just wanted to make money. And I could see that they were burning out. So what I'd do is I'd feel that energy of burning out, and I would give them a healing session, knowing that they were going to go out and do the same thing again. It wouldn't stop because there's something programmed into them. And it's just the way they are. They're set that way as children and grow up that way. So I would say we've done a healing session. It was a beautiful healing session. It's a seed of light. Hold on to it. If anything takes you away from this, then just be aware that that's what you need to work on. And also, if you're doing drugs or anything like that, recreational drugs, you might find that if you keep doing them at the pace that you're doing them, maybe in 6 months, it might take its toll on you, and you might find yourself exhausted, and you might not be able to work for a few weeks or a month or something because something's happened that your body just can't cope with anymore. Now, I didn't want that to sound like a voodoo spell. I just wanted them to understand that there may be a possibility, if you keep doing this, that you're gonna find yourself in hospital, in a psychiatric ward, and that you are no longer able to function. Now, out of those clients, there might be one person out of 100 who would listen. The one person who would listen and change their life would live a happy life, and they wouldn't be in these places. But the ones that continued doing what they did, they've eventually found themselves in a hospital and having to recover for 2 years and sometimes never. So there is certain circumstances that you can feel these things, but I think there's ways of being kind and trying to help people without scaring them to death. So I always find that giving answers, finding a way of healing and saying, okay, there are circumstances where this person will heal, but then continue doing what they're doing. So you will look at finding ways and being gentle and kind and letting them be the answer to whatever needs to be done, rather than me telling them directly. So I used to talk in stories. Like I had a friend who was going through a terrible situation, and he was like constantly trying to build a business. And it was so, he did it so much that he was like, he just didn't feel that he could sleep because he had so much work to do. So he was taking tablets to stay awake. He was on Coca-Cola. He was drinking 40 cigarettes every half a day. So he was smoking more cigarettes. And it was like sometimes quite a lot doing like Coke or whatever. And he ended up being really, really, really poorly. So the other person listening to this is like, oh shit, that sounds like me. And then they start to think about it more. So I found myself being careful when giving a message to somebody and not scaring them. So I don't think it's easy to be 100% perfect on your message and how you deliver it. But if you're aware of these things, there's certain things you can do and not be too like blatant and in your face. A lot of psychics and healers believe that that's important. And I was always given cold shoulder by psychics and healers all the time. I was hated. And to the point where some of them said, you're just too nice. That's your problem. Like, oh, okay, too nice. All right. So you want me to be a bit horrible, do you? And make you feel happier? Oh, yeah, you can be too nice. So there you go. I don't, because maybe they like the energy of the full moon and it makes them feel good. For me, I didn't like the full moon energy. I always get exhausted and tired. And like the moon's energy to me isn't natural. That's just my interpretation. The sun feels natural. The sun feels like I am being healed both mentally, physically, and emotionally when I'm in the sun. When I'm not in the sun, I feel tired and exhausted. So I moved to a country, Costa del Sol, where the sun is. When the moon comes out, I'm naturally exhausted. Not more so now because I've been doing a cleanse, and the cleanse was about parasites. So I've done maybe 3 years cleansing with parasite cleanse, and now the full moon doesn't affect me as much. It does affect me 97%, roughly 97%. I notice a change in me, and I can feel that change, and it doesn't feel natural. It doesn't feel natural. So like my feeling is I don't like the moon's energy on my crystals. And do I like putting them in the sun? It's okay. I don't think it makes a massive difference, but yeah, leave them in the sun. It makes you feel better. Put them in rice. It makes you feel better. Put them in salt water. Makes you feel better. But up to this point now, how many years has it been? 12, 10 years, maybe 10 years. No, the crystals are just fine. My most powerful work on crystals is holding them when you're in a good energy mode, when you're feeling good and you can create and bring forward the energy of healing, which is all around you. Hold the crystal and work with it. Or when you're feeling happy, quickly grab the crystal and put that happiness into the crystal. I don't think there's nothing more powerful than that. You can use as much rice and other things as you want, but there's nothing more powerful than you, because you are the most powerful crystal in the world. And thus, the crystal heals you and you heal the crystal. You give it good energy, gives you good energy. Perfect. That's how I see it. But I don't believe the moon is a natural. I think it's not natural. I've always had that feeling. It's never felt real to me. So I just don't have And so many people go crazy. That's why it's called lunatic. Everybody goes crazy on it. Well, not everybody, but a lot of people do. And I've mentioned it many times before. I had friends who were nurses who told me that hey, shit happens in hospitals when it's full moon a lot more. People are more sick. They go crazy a little bit more. And I used to sit with a police officer for many years and always used to say before I did any of this work, Jesus, it's a full moon. And I'm like, what are you talking about? He says, oh, don't ask. I'm like, why do you keep talking about a full moon? And he says, because it gets crazy. We have to bring in more staff because there's more fighting, there's more violence, there's more anger, there's more like, wow, really? And then I ended up buying a house, a little flat when I split up from my first wife. And I across the wall, the road, a big wall, and it was I can't remember what it was called, but it was a hospital. And at the back end of the hospital was a psychiatric place where people would go. And you can ask Susan, my ex-wife, right? What's that scream? What are all them screams? And I'd say, it's a full moon. Right, what you talking about? I said, they only scream on a full moon. Who? The people who are in there, like the crazies, and they scream on a full moon. Scream, like howl. Wolves howling on a full moon. There's something that to me doesn't resonate, and it's always a negative. It's not a positive. Like people go crazy. That's not a positive. So why do I want to put my crystals out on a full moon? I don't. But some people love it. And if you feel good about it, then I think it's you ultimately are the good feeling. So if it feels good, whether it's a moon made of cheese or whatever, if you feel good about it, you create that energy. So when you've got it, oh, it feels great. Oh, it's been out in the moon. It's great. Yeah, I can see what you're doing to it. I can actually see that joy in what you're saying, and that belief in what you're saying is actually going into the crystal. That's why I don't believe in a cross. I believe the power of your belief in the cross. Cross is a piece of metal, but if you believe in it, you create it. So then you're creating whatever. So believe whatever you want. Believe it. If you believe in, it's fine, because whatever you believe in and it makes you feel happy, is that what creates the energy which you create? Because ultimately you are the creator of everything. So why do you think I work with crystals? Because I know that if I put good energy into them for 1 hour, 6 hours, 10 hours, 20 hours, 50 hours, it's like, I know, I feel like I've done something. I feel like there's a benefit of memory in this crystal. And that's why people buy my crystals, because they can feel it. Some people genuinely feel emotional and feel like, wow, I felt that crystal, Mark. I don't take it off because it's great. It's like, good. That's how I feel. That's how I feel about all my crystals. I have to work with them before I even do anything. I want to put good energy in, and like, I've got these here, and these are Vesuvianites, and they've come back from Bali. I've worked on them already, but like I take one out and I'm excited about what I want to finish off with this crystal. So I'll hold it and just close my eyes and then listen to the music and let the crystal talk to me, or let the spirit world talk to me, or let the energy around me talk to me. So I might feel like, oh, there's a problem with my knees for some reason. I'm starting to get pain in my knees. So now I'm going to heal my knees by pulling the energy in to heal the knees. As soon as that comes in, it moves through the body, through the hands, into the crystal. So now that energy is healing of bones or joints. That's just one aspect of it. But the exciting part about working with crystals, you don't know what energy, memory you're going to put into your crystal. So you should try that when you're feeling happy. I don't touch my crystals to put energy into them when I'm not feeling well. I only touch my crystals. I'll touch crystals when I want good energy. I won't touch a crystal which is going on the website for if I'm in a bad place at all. I only touch my crystals that go on the website when I'm strong and positive and I'm in the healing mode and I feel well. So, but like I said, when I finished with it, if I decide to keep this one, like I've decided to keep that one because some reason I feel it. So I kept that one and I kept this one. and I kept this one, and I keep some of them to myself because I know that when I need them, they're there to help heal me. So I've worked on all of these 4 crystals. I've worked on them for hours. So now they're there ready for me to use, whether it's the psychic work, healing work, whether it's to make me feel better, whether it's to protect me. They're ready because I put the energy into them. And that's how I work with my crystals on the website. Oh, your crystals are expensive. No problem. Go and find a crystals shop, buy one, and watch my videos on how to put pure energy or energy into your crystals and do it yourself. Then you don't have to worry about paying too much money for a crystal. Just go and buy a nice one and do it yourself and put the hours into it. Put 10 hours, 20 hours into it. Actually, it flies by the way. Doesn't, it flies by, especially on a night. You just sit for an hour with them. It's gone. Put it down. That's 1 hour. Pick it up a couple of hours. That's 3 hours. Before you know it, you've done 10, 15, 20 hours. It's easy to put a lot of hours into crystals, but them hours are turned into memory. And as long as you are on that frequency of meditation, healing, and absent healing, that is the energy that you want. Because if you're working on that level, your crystals will receive that very same energy. So if you're in a bad mood or you're poorly or you're in pain, no, keep away from them crystals and get the crystals that you finish working on to be now your healer. So, yeah, that's it, guys. I'm like, for me, I don't care whether the moon is or isn't. I just know what feels right and what feels wrong to me. So I follow that guidance. So I stay low when the moon comes out. I'm not interested. I relax. I try to go into non-responsive mode of getting angry. I don't want to watch anything that's going to trigger me. And I go into meditation and I self-heal. That's where I feel better at. So it's my time to rest and relax when the full moon comes out. But there are many, and I've mentioned this before, there are many old ancient scriptures and old shamans that said that there was a time that there wasn't a moon in this solar system. There was no moon. It came here, and then as soon as it came here, everything changed. There was wind. There was waves, crashing waves, and we couldn't connect like we used to do. That psychic connection that we had has gone. It's no longer there anymore because this big thing came and people were no longer connected anymore. They didn't have the psychic ability that they used to have. So like that made sense to me. That really makes sense. So it could be a disruptor of some description, whether it's real or it's not. It could be something that disrupted this solar system by emitting an energy that makes it so much more difficult to attune to you and feel your body and psychically attune to others and send messages via. So it's a disruptor in my thoughts. So people get angry with me about that because they're totally into the moon. But what's wrong with having an opinion? What's wrong with saying, well, this is the reason why, and this is why I feel like that? Why can't we all just have our own opinion and respect each other's? I don't get upset. People say, I put my crystals out in the moon. Good for you. Do you feel better? Great. Good for you. If it makes you feel good, I don't care what you do with your crystal, as long as you're happy. Okay, guys. Well, I've enjoyed this. I hope you enjoyed this little chat. Yeah, it's food for thought. You can go away and think about it, and you could have your own thoughts, and you could share that with the world about why you think crystals go through these transformational moments. And there are times that a crystal will change and then change back again. So it's like, oh, it had this issue and then it's gone again. It's very strange, very beautiful, very different. Very interesting. Crystals are interesting. I've worked with crystals now since 38 years old, and I get excited. I get excited when I'm in crystal shop. I get excited when crystals arrive. I get excited when I work with them. I get excited when I wake up. I want to, I live on a farm and it's a beautiful place, but I tell you what, I can't wait to get here. I'm like out of that door and I'm hardly ever at the farm. It's beautiful, but my life, my joy is crystals. I just love them. And I can't wait to get here and working on them. So that's my passion. It's crazy, really. I've got a lovely farm and I should be on there and enjoying it, but my passion is getting up in the morning, getting to work and working on my crystals. That's my passion. I love it. I could talk about crystals all day. And more importantly, I could work with crystals all day. And time flies by when I work with crystals. So that's it, guys. I'm wishing you all a lovely evening. Thanks for joining it. 100 beautiful 18 people. Thank you so, so much, everybody. Thanks, Jennifer. Lovely to have you here. Looking forward to the replay. Yeah, great stuff. I will put it on. I'm actually going to put this out on Mark Bajerski YouTube channel. So I'll put it on record and then put it on my normal channel. So you're not watching the live recordings. It's going to go on there. That's what I'm going to try and do. All right. Thanks for joining me, Brendan, Peter. Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much, Jade, and everybody else. I hope you've enjoyed your chat together in the chat room. And yeah, hope to see you tomorrow. Take care, guys. Bye.